So today I'm going to make a metal plate for this manifold. So I'm going to get the plasma cutter out. I got a piece of steel over there I'm going to cut it out of. And alright, so I got a piece of scrap metal. It's the same thickness as the piece that is broken. So I guess I'll get to cutting a piece out here and fitting it on the manifold so I can put the manifold back on the engine. I have enough here to make numerous ones. I'm going to cut it out with a plasma cutter, and I'll do a little video doing that. First things first, I just took a Sharpie and traced the piece I need out on this piece of steel. I'll take something and clamp it on there just to run the torch of the plasma cutter so I get a nice clean straight even cut. I'm not that talented. This was a settling cut here. I just clamped part of the old broken piece on there as a guide, kind of to cut that out, and then I'll just dress it up on the grinder to fit it to the manifold perfectly, and I'll just move that around as I cut. Mess on the driveway there. Right. Cut it over the metal. Alright, I'll go grind it, and that slag will just chip off with the hammer. I'll grind it and drill a hole in it, and we'll have a new plate. Well, that's what the plasma cutter is, and again you need compressed air to hook to it. And this will run on 120 or 240. I was just running it on 120. But if you're using the higher stuff, you know, then I can plug it into 240, but I rarely need to do that. 120 is usually more than enough for it. Pretty dandy little unit. You got plenty long cables with it and everything too. And if you've watched my past videos, you saw those refrigerant and helium cylinders. This is what I kind of make things with them. Make Halloween, Christmas, whatever kind of decorations, and I just paint the outside of the cylinder whatever color I want, and the inside with whatever color fluorescent I want, and then I put a black light up in the top. You know, if it's down in the bottom, you see it when you're standing there. When it's up in the top, you don't. It just kind of makes that glow. Looks pretty cool at night when it's dark out. Fits pretty good. Let me go bore the hole. Alright, that fits good. Lines up. The screw is kind of beat up. The screw goes in. I did check it, but I'm going to see if I can find another screw like it. And I'm going to paint this little piece of high heat paint so it doesn't turn to rust immediately. Alright, the asbestos piece, that's in the way that it was on the manifold, and I found a bolt. Hopefully it'll clear. I'll hold it up to the engine and make sure it clears before obviously I bolt it on. But the screw stuck out quite a ways, so hopefully this will work. It clears, and I do use no-sees on the exhaust bolts, especially on these top ones. Alright, the manifold's on. I didn't bend the tabs over. I gotta give the bolts a final torque. I just snugged them up. They're supposed to be at 15 foot-pounds. They may be there, but anyway, I didn't bend any of these over, just in the chance I have to pop the manifold off. I'll bend those over. Usually I just bend one over that hits the bolt head and leave the rest standing up, so if in the future you need to take the manifold off, you can reuse those. That's the way they're designed. But came out pretty good. Looks good on there, the manifold and the heat shield, and you can see where the choke tubes go into the manifold. And the bolt that I put back there in place of that, the screw head was kind of rounded out and the threads were really beat up, so I decided to use a bolt instead. But you can see that plate just shows up in there, doesn't it? So that's together the way it should be. Other than, like I say, I gotta bend those down. And this is, did a little research, and plus a lot of people commented that's supposed to be natural, so I'll just leave that the way it is. And I did put the thermostat in. I don't think it's going to show up in there, but it is in. I think you can see the tip of it in there. So it's getting buttoned up to the point where I can wrap it up and start on the transmission. I'll shove a paper towel or something up in the exhaust ports and wrap the motor up really good. Leave the tape on the intake manifold. It's starting to look like a 352 4-barrel. I just set the carburetor there. Just it's not, nothing's bolted on. It's just thought I'd throw it on just to kind of give everyone a look. I set the decal. You could see on the lid where the original sticker was. It was a little smoother, and that's exactly where the original sticker sat. It's just sitting there. And that's just kind of what it'll look like when this will be painted, obviously, and it'll have hoses and distributor. But I just thought I'd give it a quickie, throw it on, and just see how it looked. Looks nice. I like. Maybe I'll take a photo of it for a thumbnail. I was just going to set the distributor in to keep that part of the engine clean, but it still needs a little bit more cleaning up, so I'm going to finish cleaning it up, go through it. The vacuum advance works, but I think I'll replace it. Just want to go through it all and make sure it's all good, and I'll just set it in, and then when I get ready to install the engine, I'll pull it out. I don't want to have a chain or something hit it and snap it off. Alright, so I'm going to call it a day. I put the motor mounts on just to get them out of the trunk, and just kind of put this assembly together somewhat. And again, the carburetor is not rebuilt, it's not bolted on, it's just sitting there. And just kind of give you an overview. I still got to get the grommet for here. I got the original one, it's just really hard. I don't know if I can push it back in there, so I was just trying to get a new grommet for there. And other than that, I think we're gonna, like I say, call it a day. Maybe you can see why I decided to replace the engine mounts. It's all split and cracked, and that's just bonded to this. So, when the bonding gives out, they give out. There's a little rivet there that probably goes through to this plate, but that rivet's not going to hold 300 foot-pounds of torque or anything. So and that's just from where I put the nut on and the washer to bead blast it, so I could paint them. I just threaded them onto the old mount just so I wouldn't have to hold them in the blast cabinet. You can see now why I chose to replace all the mounts. And one more thing, Tyler, yes, this fuel pump, I looked to see where it was made. It was made in Korea. That's probably why it did not fit the engine correctly. And that's the issue, is again this. I think I showed that. I made this video on what I've been doing here has been over a couple of 2 or 3 days of an hour or two here and there. So sorry if I repeat myself a bunch of times. You'll just have to excuse me for it. So that's it for the day. If you like my video, hit the like button. If you want to see this car resurrected, please subscribe, and thank you for watching my videos.